The inspiration for this video came years ago when I first wrote this song. I thought about a scenario involving a woman and her child and her husband stationed overseas, you know, serving in the war.
A side note, With You Forever was originally a Christmas song that Kim wrote called With You This Christmas. Mm-hmm. And so that kind of informs the scenario she had in mind for a video at that time. When we were planning our album, that's when we decided, well, she was going back and forth in her mind whether or not it should be just a Christmas song still that we release around Christmas or make it more universal. And so she decided to make it more universal, obviously, change the name to With You Forever. So now it's more of a year-round song about loss and heartbreak that we don't just have to enjoy for Christmas. We can enjoy our heartbreak year-round.
Now, you know, as opposed to being With You This Christmas, With You Forever is a much broader, it covers a more broader sense of loss than just, you know, a permanent loss, like if someone dies, or, you know, in the case of like a military family where that's kind of it's a temporary loss.
So that's what inspired the 3 different stories being told. Instead of just having the one story, there's 3 now. So we have the military family, you have the mother with Alzheimer's and her 2 daughters, and you have the married couple. The married couple, that's right. Yeah. That was us.
Yeah, and they each identify those various different kinds of loss, which is more suitable than just boxing it into just this one scenario. But I did still want to have the military family. So that was the inspiration for the video. I started the casting process basically on Facebook. I was, you know, after I'd written the script and I knew all the characters I needed and stuff, I started to think, okay, now who can do this? I had a couple people in mind. First of all, me, Adam, and myself. We were going to play the married couple, of course. And then when I had, you know, developed the mother and daughter scenario, I knew I wanted my mom involved. And then it was left kind of open, and I didn't know who I could possibly get. And so I was like, let me just get on Facebook. I know way too many people for this to be that hard. So I got on Facebook and I just started scrolling through my friends list, which is quite a hefty number of people. And I came across Danae Edwards and Shaquila Willis and Aaron Hunley. And then also I needed a child, and there was no other child to do this video except my lovely, beautiful, wonderful nephew, Anthony Gunn. So then I needed to figure out, okay, who's gonna play what? Because quite frankly, all 3 of those women, Danae, Shaquila, and Aaron, I believed could carry out any one of those characters well. The funny thing about Danae and Shaquila, though, is that they're not professional actresses. They haven't been doing anything really in the arts field. I just knew them through life. I met Shaquila years ago when we were children in school, and Danae I grew up with in church. Aaron, I had the privilege of working with at Apple a couple years ago. I hit them up, I asked them, you know, is this something you'd even be interested in? And amazingly, both Danae and Shaquila were like, well, I haven't done anything like this really, but, you know, sure, why not? And Erin, turns out that she actually has a degree in acting, so that worked out really nicely. Sean Johnson, who is a fellow team member, he is former military. He was in the Air Force, and he had a uniform. Initially, I was thinking of having him play the husband because he had the uniform, but he couldn't do it. So then I had to find somebody who could fit the uniform.
Well, it's not even so much that at first it wasn't that he couldn't do it, it's that he wouldn't do it because at the time he was fostering this beloved beard of his and he refused to cut it for anything. And what's funny is maybe a week after we shot it, he ended up cutting his beard off anyway. Yeah. So, but that led us to cast Jamar Poteet, who is a very good friend of ours, the drummer in the jazz group that I played with for years, New Growth, and I've just played with him on a lot of different things. So,
and he fit it perfectly. He was a perfect size for the uniform. He even wore the same shoe size as Sean, so it was meant to be.
Worked out.
Both Shaquilla and Danae are mothers, so I knew that they, would have experience as far as working, with Anthony. And Shaquilla is actually a military wife, or former military wife. So they both kind of, fit the mold. But by the end of it, I really, looking at Shaquilla next to Aaron, it really kind of sunk in that they really made a good pair of sisters. And Danae, there was honestly just something about Danae that I remembered from our time, growing up in church, that said to me that she would pull off the military wife well. The amazing thing about these women was how phenomenal they were from the jump, the moment we started filming. I mean, for especially Shaquilla and Danae to have had little to no experience, they were naturals. Like, I'm still baffled by it. I mean, I didn't have to do much directing aside from telling them what they needed to do and where and how to do it, I don't know if anybody else really gets to see this as much as me, but Adam is a very natural actor.
I play the character, the husband, every day, so it wasn't really a stretch. Acting is becoming. So I'm always transcending myself.
Always. Yeah, so it was a no-brainer for me to have him play my husband. I wouldn't have had it any other way anyway. So Jamar was excellent. The poor guy, honestly, he came in by the end of the shooting at night for his scenes, and I just felt like I had thrust him into this emotionally, extraordinary scenario where, he's coming home, and this is a pivotal moment. He's meeting his wife for the first time for however long, being overseas, and I was like, hug her, swoop her up. I made him do a million takes, first of all, to get this hug right, because it just had to be just right. But he was a trooper, and he stayed as long as I needed him to pull it off, and it was pretty effective. Anthony, I can say the same about him. I knew he'd be great, but I still wasn't prepared for just how awesome he was. He was a natural. He followed directions well. I didn't have to tell him, don't smile, don't laugh, pay attention, anything like that. He was in his character. I mean, the kid was a natural.
Yeah. So having a cast almost completely full of non-actors pulling off this level of performances, not only a testament to their natural ability, but also a testament to Kizzie and her natural directorship, knowing when to direct, knowing when to just let things happen as they're happening. So we got some really great performances. Yeah.
And lastly, I do have to speak on behalf of my mother's performance. She started performing, acting and singing and such, just right around when I graduated from high school. And she's been doing it ever since. And her acting ability alone has grown incredibly. And I couldn't be more proud. And she definitely played the part quite effectively.
She plays a very good crazy.
Okay, so I wrote the script. It took me maybe a couple of days. It doesn't take that long to write a script for a music video anyway, because it's short.
Well, I think it's worth saying, like, when you came up with this idea, it was like this big burst of inspiration. We were on a road trip to California, and all of a sudden Kim's talking about this music video, and 1 second she's gathering the ideas, the next minute she's making phone calls and making adjustments to the ideas, and by the time we got back from California, we knew exactly what we were going to be doing. So,
man, I don't even remember that.
Yeah, I remember. It was like all at once.
Yeah. So the process of writing the script for us, since this is our first start, was what's in the budget. We can't do anything.
There's no budget.
Two out of So I first was thinking, which song could we do effectively without having to compromise or sacrifice the full weight of the song, and do that within our means, within our resources.
$0 budget.
Right. So With You Forever was the song that came to mind. With You Forever was a good choice because it is one of our more popular songs, and it like I said before, it developed from the scenario of, you know, having a military family and dealing with their kind of temporary loss, and then the other characters came along, and that was something we could do just in our living rooms and, you know, out on the street, you know, without having to worry about permits and blocking off streets and, you know, all that stuff that costs money. So my whole aim was to make sure I wasn't sacrificing anything for the sake of just getting a video out, and I think I was able to get that down on paper pretty
Absolutely.
effectively. Bringing the script to life was so much easier than I thought it would be. I can only give absolute thanks to God, because I mean, you know, getting the cast was not nearly as hard as I expected it to be, and then getting the cast to actually come together for the time that we needed to shoot was not nearly as hard as I thought it would be. So we actually ended up shooting this video over a span of 2 days. It was
a long 2 days.
It was a long 2 days, but it was 2 days. We got all those stories knocked out. We started on the Thursday, and then we finished all the last shots on the Saturday. Vince, bless his heart, our director of photography, was driving in from Lawton. So we were done on Saturday at like 2 a.m.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it's 2 a.m.
17-hour day.
So God bless him. I mean, he drove down early in the morning, and he drove back early in the morning. But we got it done. And Vince was also completely prepared for the shoot. Like, he knew exactly what shots to get, and that made things go so much faster. You know, just us being on the same page. And we really did. The paper became...
It was a massive sacrifice on Vince's part to volunteer himself to be a part of our vision. You know, we're saying that we have this video, and he has this expertise, and he has this equipment, and he's running multiple businesses at once, and doing video is just one part of his life, and he gave himself completely for those 2 days. And not just those 2 days, but beyond that, the editing process was grueling.
Yeah.
So we're extremely fortunate.
Yeah.
Extremely fortunate and very thankful for that.
Yeah. I hit up Vince to ask him for advice, I believe. He can correct me if I'm wrong. But, I was getting ready to actually get it in my head, the process of doing this video. And I hit him up to ask him for some advice and ask him some questions about it. And he was like, well, what do you want to do? You know, and so we kind of had this back and forth going. And he was like, well, if you need any help, just let me know. And from then on, you know, I was telling him this is my vision. And then I sent him a script. And then he was like, this is beautiful. And basically like, when you want to do this, you know. So that's how Vince got on board. And he provided basically the stuff that we needed to actually have a video, which was his camera and his editing software. So once the video was shot, then there was the process of editing. Since he lives in Lawton, Adam and I had to drive to Lawton.
Adam had to drive to Lawton.
Adam had to drive to Lawton so that we could go to Vince's house where he has his editing, his whole office. And
I think it took us 5 trips, right?
So, yeah,
4 or 5 trips to Lawton.
And the first half of that was just sequencing. And sequencing was basically finding the video footage that we liked, and then getting the clip of that video footage that we liked, and saving that, you know. So it was like, you know, the dinner scene that we had, we get all the clips that we liked from that and put that in a folder, basically. And that was the process for every single scene you see in the video, on top of the footage from scenes that got cut. And then after that, we were able to actually take those small sequences and piece them together, and basically this massive puzzle that made the entire music video. It was amazing to watch Vince work. I learned a whole lot. And then once we were able to do that, then we left it up to him to give it the color that he gave it, and to add the effects that you will see or have seen in the video near the end. I won't spoil anything.
And let me say this, I still haven't figured this out, how this is possible, how it works. But Vince's coloring is remarkable.
Yeah.
Come to find out, he's colorblind.
Yeah.
I don't know how he's doing it or what kind of trickery he has up his sleeve, but I'm fairly certain he's a wizard.
Yeah.
So we're gonna get to the bottom of that.
Right. Yeah, he's got a phenomenal talent, and he's self-taught, which is also amazing. So it was a match made in heaven, honestly. I mean, none of us went to film school.
No. It's about having a vision,
Yeah.
being determined,
Yeah.
being able to research. If you have a problem, being able to find a solution. Really, that's what we do. We're solution finders.
Yeah.
And this video was just a big assignment in that area. It's like, here's a whole set of problems now. What's your solution? You don't have a budget. What's your solution? You don't have a cast. What's your solution? And thanks to all of the EEDO knots out there and all the support, we've made another dream come true.
Yeah.